Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Predictions. Today, Bankrupt joined once again by Jimmy and Jake.
If you say so.
What's going on, y'all?
And today's matchup is Jimmy versus Aaron. Aaron couldn't join us unfortunately today, so we're going to continue on without him. Jimmy did bring back Goku GT, and Aaron is playing Zamasu Wish. So, like always, with buttons down below, feel free to click there for a reason. But let's get into today's matchup.
So I know Aaron really enjoys playing blue-yellow, and it was just kind of like a matter of time before he started playing this Zamasu Wish deck. How do you feel about this matchup going into it? Like with red, you've got a lot of ways to clear the indestructibles, but
Yeah. So I know I'm not worried about indestructible at all. I can deal with that very, very easily just by negging out. More so what I'm worried about is the counterplay and the amount of control that this deck can have. With yellow being able to tap down 2 to 3 cards a turn. While I do go very wide, I need those wide attacks because they're usually kind of dinky 15k swings. That I need a lot of attacks to go through instead of just a couple of attacks, that mean something going through. I'm also worried about stuff like Zamasu the Eliminator because it hits pretty much everything in my deck and can also tap a card. So, and I mean, he rose one there, so I know that's one out of the factor. But there's so much draw power in this list that I know he's going to have at least, 1 or 2 more over the course of this game.
yeah, he'll see probably half of his deck, if not better.
Yeah. And that was my life cut there that he graciously gave me, which was very important. I think that really helped me out in this game.
I was so confused. Okay, that's right, because you do get the opportunity to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I went back to the audio and listened to it. I was so confused why you did that. But 4 in turn 1 is not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad at all, especially with the amount of quality that he gets to put in his hand from that. It's very good.
Yeah. And I already saw in his hand that turned on the Mecha Frieza he has as well.
Yeah, those 2 coercions in the drop area, just already letting that Frieza be live.
So I do run robotic, or not robotic. I do run the Vegeta counter that will stop robotics. Resolve Renewed. I keep wanting to call it Revive Renewed for some reason. It doesn't make any sense when I say it, but it makes sense in my head. So I'm not super worried about that per se. I'm more worried about stuff like Final Flash and Black Kamehameha, and him being tapped out there. I felt really comfortable expending my turn 2 play into this is my normal turn 2 play, but it felt even more comfortable with him being tapped out. It basically guaranteed that both of these attacks are going to have some sort of value.
I mean, it was a perfect turn 2, and you did get rid of a Senzu Bean from his life, which is, I mean, in any situation, it's clutch. Especially a deck that, like you said, goes wide, but typically your wide is like 15 or 20 Ks at most,
Yeah, my most of the cards I'm turning sideways are going to be 15Ks. The Goku is 15K. The Trunks IPT is 15K. The 4-drop barrier Trunks is 15K. The Goku Soaring Through Space is a 20K, which is really my favorite card in the list. I don't know why people are so down on it. Only running I only usually see 2 in a list when I'm considering going up to 4.
It negs 20, right? Or is it pop at 20 or less?
It negs 20. And then on swing, it loads a Saiyan from your drop area back under your Unison.
I think people don't like until you have to wait, or that you have to wait until turn 3 to use it, and they feel like it's kind of inflexible, but I think 3 or 4 copies isn't terrible.
If your turn 2 play is playing Pan to follow up with 2 crits, it's not a problem in my opinion. And maybe they're afraid just drawing too many of them.
I mean, that's a possibility, but I think if you stay on the front side of your leader, you can just put those under your Unison to draw to.
Which you like to do a lot.
Yeah, which I actually just done right there. I put a Soaring Through Space under my Unison for my leader effect. The backside of this leader really does nothing in the grand scheme. It's just a 15k draw one. You do draw 2 on Awaken, but you draw so much on the front side that the draw 2 is kind of just, like, yeah, you do get 2 cards in your hand for essentially free, but you do lose out on being able to load Saiyans efficiently for the rest of the game. So I usually only like flipping my leader on my go home turn, or if I'm having to defend really hard.
That makes a lot of sense. The downside of that leader swing is it has to be a Saiyan that goes underneath the unison, and sometimes you can get in situations where your only good Saiyan is a card you would really rather have in your hand, like a Chain Attack Bardock or a Super Combo or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which I don't know if you've seen this variation of the list, but I have switched out my super combos for the Krillin super combos.
Yeah, so those would even just be dead. Like, you couldn't even use those.
So in those cases, I would go ahead and flip my leader just to get the draw 2 and then just get a consistent draw 1. But I like to stay on my front side, especially with the surprising amount of defense that GT can hold between stuff like King Vegeta's Imposing Presence for ride boards. You have Difference of Status for boss monsters. You have your Pam blocker for, just like crit or double strike attacks. And a lot of that defense is free, or you have to just strike 1 life for it, which is really, really nice. So you get to pump all of your energy into offense.
Which is really what drew me to the deck initially, is like being able to completely tap out and then have some sort of defensive capabilities on the crackback.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I missed something real quick. I don't remember why he tapped the energy down initially, but you did happen to have the resolve in your hand to stop the floodgate, though, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm. I think there is a point in this where he does tap the wrong energy and asked if he could retap, and
that's what happened. But I was confused why he tapped in the first place, because he played a corrosion. So I don't know what happened. I must have missed it.
I don't know. Maybe I missed it too. I wasn't paying attention I was flapping my gums instead of paying attention to what was going on in the game right here.
But yeah, this is. I mean, he is Yellow. We've talked about this before. Yellow has a lot of good ways of just controlling the board. But I mean, you still have potentially 4 more attacks here if you wanted to,
Mm-hmm. And he does have a monstrously fat hand throughout pretty much this entire game. So I still have to play with the idea that pretty much every yellow card or yellow-blue card is going to be available to him at this time. And he does have the Zamasu response, which is just disgusting because it really, really hurts. Of course, I wouldn't really have swung with the Resolve Renewed. He couldn't tap down the Trunks because he has Barrier. I think the best option probably would have been just tapping down the Pan to get the blocker out of the way, but I don't even think I use her as a blocker in this game. I don't remember.
You're at such a life advantage right now, it might be better to just hold on to her, especially when your opponent's in colors that can really only, like, rest it to try and get around it, and can't just, like, straight remove it for free.
Certainly. GT feels very strange to play because a lot of aggro decks in this game are balanced by the idea that you're going to be taking your life very quickly as well, to either pump out your battle cards or just to be able to play the list. But GT, it feels like my life is just kind of there as just a secondary resource that if I want to dip into, I can. Otherwise, like, it's all in the energy in my hand is what's pumping out my offense.
It reminds me a lot of U7 Goku in the way that it holds on to life despite being an aggro deck.
There's a good chance there's already a comment about this, but we had some new guys at our shop, which is fantastic. Always getting new people is great. One of the players was, I think, fairly new to the game, so he didn't really play. He just kind of watched everyone's games. I think him sitting down beside you guys messed Aaron up because he did put that last card into his drop area. I just want to call it out now. I saw it. It's supposed to be in his warp. It just happened.
Yeah.
Ooh, Turles.
Yeah, the Turles was a little scary. I always forget that Goku Black has access to the Turles until I'm setting down across from the deck. Because I'm so used to just reading the front side and going, "Oh God, okay, it's not a Saiyan," and then drops that, and I have to retool my brain and be like, "Oh, it's a Saiyan now. Okay, we're good. We're cool."
Yeah, there are very few leaders that change traits when they flip over, and the ones that do always have tricky plays like this that they can do.
Yeah, there was a one instance where, like, because on the backside it is a Saiyan, so I remember Fluff accidentally misplayed the Turles because he was thinking my leader is a Saiyan, but it's only a Saiyan on the backside, and he hadn't awakened yet. So it's one of those things, like, people don't expect it, or it throws you off when you look like, oh, it's a god. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of players just don't include Turles in their list because it's complicated to play and are just missing out on all that power level.
I think people do play it. Because I think
Turles is a powerhouse in yellow. There's not a lot of yellow cards that just like straight remove cards, and also are just like I almost compare it to Raiders Warcry in a way. It's like an upgraded version because it's a sizable body double strike for 2 energy, and it makes a non-threat out of something. In this case, it KOs, which is significantly better than Raiders Warcry.
Yeah. And it can even draw you a card if you want it to, like Raiders does.
I just realized Turles is the power crept version of Raiders Warcry. I did not realize that before.
The main difference is you can play Warcry on your opponent's turn, which changes the utility of the card a little bit, and then Warcry is also a 4-drop with like grade 8 tags. So there's like different like tricks you can do there. I wouldn't call it like a straight like shock to lightning bolt replacement if you've ever played Magic the Gathering, but it's definitely a consideration.
But if you're playing a yellow Saiyan, what are you playing?
Yeah, that's about what I was getting to.
Yep. So right there, we were going back and fixing the Poutine tap. So he would have got to tap down something, and I think I tapped down. I don't remember if I tapped down the pan for the robotic riposte. But I also would have. He would have tapped down the pan before I swung and tapped the trunks for the Bardock swing. So that was just me fixing, going, okay, well, I tapped down the pan for robotic. We'll just say that was Poutine, and I'll tap down the trunks for the case of robotic riposte, the cost to swing with Bardock. So that's what that small little confusion was, and if you're wondering why Trunks was suddenly tapped. But GT also has a level of control with it, like field control. You have so many options to neg down battle cards, and stuff like the Chain Attack Bardock can just completely like wipe a field if you have multiple on in play, because there's no unique or limit tags to the Bardock. That you can just swing out and neg down your opponent's entire field after playing your Battle Planet M2 Trunks, or your Soaring Through Space Trunks and your Soaring Through Space Gokus.
And at a 1-drop, it's really difficult for your opponent to plan their defenses around, because at any point you can pay 1 energy and slam it and go to town.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of situations where I've just looked at my hand and I've had like 3 Bardocks in hand and like 5 energy open. And it's like, well, I can just go to town now. Like, the card is kind of busted, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the cards we were complaining about when the promos being part of archetypes was like really egregious. I feel like Chain Attack Bardock was one of those big pain points.
Mm-hmm. Also, facing a a yellow blue deck, not just Zamasu, but facing a yellow blue deck with 5 open energy is always terrifying. Because they could do just about anything. And he decides to go with Pan here, which I think is a very solid play because of the amount of battle cards that I had to swing with was kind of nutty.
And tapping on the blocker for future, the future turn is a smart play as well.
Mm-hmm. I believe here he goes for the Kefla play, or it might be...
He's debating it because he has the blue yellow right now. So there it is, which will pop or bottom deck a card. I think it's bottom decks. Yeah.
Yeah, bottom decks.
And in response, you do play Yamcha, which is just... The problem is that I'm sure people have already picked up on it. The top card underneath your Unison is a card that negs by 30, and you just neg both of those cards by 15. And just with a simple 3 energy, you've just killed off 2 boss monsters and will put Aaron into a very tight spot from here on out.
Yeah. So right now he is still considering his defensive combo step. I did remove the card from my combo area because it was just irrelevant at that point. He was debating on playing the Goku Black from his warp, which he decides to, which really excited me because that was just another card that was going to get nuked off the
field.
I mean, the benefit, it's not from his hand, so he's not wasting any resources there. And this is potentially you can't attack anymore. You just can't attack. So, he feels safe doing that. But in this right here...
Oof. Yeah, because Pan is a floodgate, it's really tempting to slam her early on in your turn sequence, but a lot of times you get punished for playing what is essentially one of your boss monsters at a juncture where your opponent can do a lot of different things to remove it, and it's often better to hold it until what you think is close to the end of your opponent's turn, or at least until they've spent a decent portion of their energy. But when you're staring down, 15 battle cards, it's super easy to just jam that Pan and hope it comes back to you.
So after the match, we got to discuss a little bit, and he did not know that the card could be played from under the Unison the way it was, because every previous match that we had, I had slammed it off of the leader ability. Just because I didn't really have the energy to spend on it. So he was under the assumption that I would have to do the Spirit Boost 10 to be able to put it on the field off of the Awakened Leader. So the tapping 3 to play out from under the Unison caught him by surprise.
I mean, either way, it looks like you're at 15 markers. You're well within Awakening range. Either way, he's got to respect that play.
Yeah. But then again, there's not a lot of decks that could slam their boss monster on a turn that they can't turn it sideways and feel very comfortable with it.
True.
So I think that's another thing, another plus for GT, and that its boss monster is super flexible in that it's relatively cheap as a field nuke, because if you're playing GT and you don't have 3 markers on your Unison to expend and feel safe, you're kind of already in a bad situation.
And he opts to remove the blocker here.
Which does... I thought I had a Bunny Girl response in this, but I don't believe I did. It might have been a future game where I was able to respond with Bunny Girl. But I still chose to neg it down at this point.
Yeah. And the reason why he chose the Pan is just because if that attack could go through with the damage there, then he could just easily get a double strike again. But Jimmy did have a follow-up, which just at this point, it was just best to just end the game.
Yeah. It's all over but the crying at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And I think one of the things that a lot of people aren't playing the unison that came with Zamasu Wish, which is fine. It's not super good, but I feel like in a matchup like this, it would have been phenomenal sideboard tech, because it would just pop your board constantly. But not only that, it allows him to get Dragon Balls into his drop area That way, either he can awaken sooner, or on the backside, be able to remove the 7 balls to give it triple attack or something like that. I think it is.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
lead.
triple attack.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
there is an opportunity there, where in certain matchups you want to side board those in, but I think no one plays them anymore because there's not many wide board states anymore.
There's just so much you can do with Goku Black Wish. It ultimately becomes like a difficult deck to play just because of all the choices you're given.
So with that being said, take your opportunity in today's matchup. Keep in mind this button symbol in on the screen while I kind of pass it off to somebody.
Outro. Attack on cards. Play. Read.